Hello and welcome to a new episode of Everstay's Go to Masters Show Season 3. We converse with RevOps and GTM leaders from some of the most successful companies today and learn from their unique stories. Joining us today is Sunil Kaushik, Director of Revenue Operations at Semrush. Sunil, thanks for joining us. Could you start by telling listeners a little bit about yourself?
Hey, thanks, Shafiq, for having me. I think this is a great opportunity for folks to meet and get to know in this small world of RevOps and incentive comp. About me, I've been in RevOps and incentive comp for now over 2 decades and here by choice. Background is I'm a chemical engineer who decided on the way that engineering and smelling fumes in a factory is not for me, and took an MBA. After the third year in engineering is when I decided to switch gears, and post that joined in sales. Did a lot of groundwork sales managing a team. So the first org was ICICI Prudential. So I sold door to door life insurance
Mm-hmm.
as well as recruited agents for that industry and moved through that. So somewhere along there, so I was like the number one sales guy in India and sales manager in India eventually. And at that point, I saw that the only thing I ran on was these contests and the incentives. So those were my key drivers. And that's where I felt I need to be the person who designs this because that's the way that which you're steering the company in the way that it wants to go, while at the same time getting sales done. So I made a move there and so into projects and then eventually grew in that to the national level of running such programs. Moved into banking post that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, by this time, I was more as an incentives and RevOps person,
Mm-hmm.
industry agnostic, got an opportunity to work with Accenture, where this accelerated across various industries of electronics, high tech, telecom, media, pharma. So, cut across all these verticals as an supposed SME on these items. And one thing led to the other. And now I work for Semrush and I run the worldwide sales operations and incentive compensation for them.
That's
So
quite
long journey,
indeed.
20 years in the making, hopefully wiser today than what I was 20 years ago.
And interestingly, since you worked in field, which habits most influence how you design compensation plans and in GTM operations today from, the vast experience that you have?
I would say the key is the scalability and the repeatability of any item. So the way we see it is, look, any person who joins sales doesn't join sales to do bad. Everybody wants to succeed, and noticing that hunger to succeed and channelizing it correctly and showing the various levels is what I would say someone running RevOps or incentives is most responsible for. So you should not become the bottleneck where the process is made for someone or something in particular. And as organizations scale and pivot, which could be, say, you are a 20 member team today and you want to become a 100-member sales team, or say you now were, say, geography based and now you want to become product based or say any other verticalization. It shouldn't be that, you got to reinvent the full wheel out here. So ensuring that what you're doing is well documented, is scalable and repeatable, and not just by you, but anybody who comes in and takes your seat. I think that's very, very important. And one other aspect is communicating this properly to the sales team. Because if the sales team does not buy in on, say, your process, your incentive plan, it's basically useless at that point. So if your sales rep comes and tells you, well, you go ahead and sell that and show it to me, you should be able to articulate that success story of what you want them to do and what that looks like. So not just say fancy tools and graphs and stuff, but this is where rubber meets the road. So you need to be able to say that for you to hit, say, $1 million quota, you need to do 20 demos. You need to have 15 meetings on this. You need to have 7 opportunities wherein at least you have like a $4 million pipeline and so on and so forth. And are we enabling them to do all those kind of things as well as show the money component?
Got it, got it, got it. And when you talk about buying in from the sales team, how do you earn reps, buy-in while staying within the budget? What signals do you collect, and how do you separate the real insight from the noise all around?
So this role is you're walking on a tightrope, I would say. So one, you need to be fiscally responsible. So because you have on one end finance, which is on you with the budget. So as long as the numbers are happening, it's fine. But once the numbers are not happening, at that point, you need to be pretty sure that you're well within budget. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is the pay for performance. Now a typical sales team, you know might not necessarily end up in that perfect bell curve where the belly of the curve is somewhere between the 70 to the 90% thing. Usually you have a curve where you have the top performers who are doing good, and you could have a bunch of bottom performers. The idea is that everybody needs to be a part of it. So the plan needs to separate by deciles and quartiles and make sure everybody has an interest to stay through the year and earn money and see their definition of success come true. So it's a thin line where both these have to be balanced. And one of the key ways I would say is I personally prefer running surveys
Hmm.
and interviewing reps and managers and directors and above, uh, and at every level. So one is you have a common survey which says what do you like, what you don't like, did this work, not work, how would you change, and then you take a sample of that and
Hmm.
you actually sit down and do 30-minute meetings with them. I have found in my career this is one of the sure shot ways to get successful. You hear from the horse's mouth,
Yeah.
and you are now able to say you have the data and the statistics. You also now have the real perception of what that means, at the grassroots levels. And this helps you redesign your plans in a better fashion. You are also able to articulate the pain point and arrive at an effective solution when you are talking at, say, a CXO level. So if you want to say that, there has to be a 3x accelerator at, say, above a 200%, for example. Now you have the data and you have interviewed these people and they tell you why and what we need to do, so on and so forth. So very, very important to stay in touch, to listen. And data is great, but how to apply that and come up with something such that everybody feels that they are a part of the plan, which is there. I think that is the key.
I really loved, staying closer to the ground and then getting the insights. That's really interesting and very insightful. Coming on to the next part, in what sequences would you introduce named accounts, territories, patches, overlays, and quota design, and where do teams you find most often stumble here, Sunil?
I would say the key problems that arise in all these is understanding what the capability of the team is and where we want to go. This is where most organizations stumble,
Yes.
because the SLT has an idea of what they want to be, but the team, is it ready to be there? So you can throw money and get manpower, but your return on investment is not going to be the same. You're going to have diminishing returns unless you start kind of doing better enablement or better processes around this on selling. So look, in my first company, which was there, so it was all about reps. So there are no accounts, right? So anybody can dial in and come in. So what you do is kind of based on productivity. So my cost is, say, X dollars, and I need someone to produce at least 10 times that for my organization to be profitable. So that's the simplest way where you do profitability. Then you could go to a concept of bags, one level above, where these are somewhat named and kind of together. and then these are sorted, and folks have the ability to kind of change their bags. So again, heavily dependent on productivity, but there is now some semblance of, say, an ownership of accounts which are coming through. As you increase across geographies, now you can go, say, through the geographic route and do these territories and patches which are there. As you travel, say, uh, east or from the Atlantic, so Europe has so many countries, so it's easier to build those territory patches, and so in the Asia Pacific. In Americas, it's the standard, usually the Mid Atlantic, the Southeast, Southwest. You can go, or you could end up with all of Americas, also depending upon how the team is done. So this again is here you're seeing the ownership of the accounts growing, and people now getting the demarcation of what they are going to be doing, and how, what success or what is the value that they're going to be delivering. I think above all this comes your named account concept,
Yeah.
which is there are these specific accounts which have a great potential.
Correct.
They need a higher level of nurturing, and you also need folks who can manage those accounts, either by having a relationship over the years, or they are from the industry and so they understand the problems and they are able to match that through. So named accounts would come there, and one above that is the named accounts. You can call them the global named accounts.
Mhm.
So say an organization like, for example, Amazon, right? It's a worldwide one. So Amazon Americas, Amazon Dublin, where and what, and do you need one person who manages this? And then the complexity keeps increasing. So now you have the parent, the child, the subsidiary, and now you need the sales team to match in this.
Yeah.
So do you have, say, a client account lead who manages Amazon worldwide, through whom all deals of Amazon go through, but you have, say, an enterprise manager in Americas who manages all of enterprise Amazon, but they coordinate and do that. So it's a scale and depends on what the objective is. So many organizations, when they start from productivity and bags.
Yeah.
As their geographic reach increases, is when this concept of territory and named accounts start coming in. You also have interwoven with all of this is the verticalization.
Correct. Yeah.
So basis products or particular segments or areas where you're good at. So you could have a banking unit, a telecom unit, which is servicing those.
Yeah.
But these are all, I would say, towards the higher end of the maturity scale, where you are a well established player, you have good solutions which can be done, and you are scalable in each of these industries. So it's a journey, and there's no one size fits all. So
And
we need to kind of do a deep dive again and understand, model these things out to see which one gives you the most bang for your buck, because you're investing in each one of these
yes.
and there's a cost to maintain them, and what is the risk associated, so of success and failure, and you have to find that middle ground to reach.
Very insightful. And if you could instantly automate three compensation or RevOps scores, which would you go first, and where would you redeploy that human time for maximum impact?
So the first thing any com guy you ask is the ticketing system. So the number of tickets that inundate, especially if you haven't built the process through properly or have not empowered the sales team for self-service, this is one of the, I would say, the lowest hanging fruits. And this has the, and today in the age of, I would say, AI, which is there, this should be one of those first things that get knocked out in terms of what really happens. If what you really need is every possible kind of ticket that can be there, and what's the solution to that, and develop the workflows around it. And this should be something that the reps, the ops team should not be spending much of their productive time. So this is one of the, I would say, the most transactional item and the least value adding, because the sales rep is wasting their time
Yeah.
figuring out whether they'll get paid right or wrong. My folks who are there on the team, who could be devising, say, better improvements or improving sales numbers by helping them. Now they are doing mundane tasks of trying to figure out what went wrong. And ultimately, in the end, in payroll, you're ending up reconciling all this and submitting it for your SOX compliance. So it just keeps,
Yeah.
getting monumentally added out here. The other two, I would say, is around comp design,
Mm-hmm.
which is there. And with AI, and I'm talking about AI because look, so I have seen the age of where the internet came. So you had the move from on-prem to cloud to the internet of things and so on and so forth. So today now it's the age of AI. And if we don't embrace that and use it, we will be made redundant.
Yeah.
So the comp design is, I think, what we should have is a structure of what we are trying to achieve. So I want a plan that does ABC, rewards these people, and this is the cost. And I want these products to be there. So this is what I think the team and humans should think about as to what the objective is and be able to articulate it. Setting up of that plan, running the plan, the technology behind all that is what needs to go away to AI, because that's going to be standard, right? So there was an age when, if you knew Java and you know those custom scripts that each of these tools had, you were an expert in that.
Yeah.
But the key is the algorithm of what
Correct.
you're trying to achieve. That is what real expertise is, and AI will catch up to that eventually. But in the first phase, this is what, as humans, you will be at the forefront of this and get technology to take away these mundane items. The third, I would say, is around quota allocation.
Mm-hmm.
This is another area of the bottoms down and the tops down and the bottoms up, and this negotiations with sales leaders on how now to park quota, how one particular participant is facing the greatest calamity on earth and should be given a lower quota, and so forth. So this is another thing that should just go away. We need to be almost merciless when we design this,
Mm-hmm.
and the process itself should control with the guardrails and everything out there. That, I would say, is the third thing, which is something that we need to kind of say remove human intervention from. A lot of thought needs to go into what the quotas are going to look like,
Mm-hmm.
what we are going to do next year, what each vertical or segment is going to contribute, how much money are we going to put into that, rather than just massaging these numbers
Yeah.
around so that people feel good about it.
I mean, so that then where would you deploy these human time for substantial impact?
A lot of time on thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is continuous improvement. The key challenges in RevOps is we are stuck uh, doing these mundane, transactional, repetitive tasks, and we don't have the time to take a pause and say, let's stop this and rebuild everything from scratch. So you're basically riding the tiger right now and you can't get off. And that's where the external consultants come in. And then you have these longer term projects which happen. But the key is the human value is the brain, and how well we are able to solve for cases, how well we are able to find corner cases and risks and identify them much in advance. So, there was the era of outsourcing
Correct.
where, if you want, say, a particular page scan, there's someone in a low cost location sitting and typing it up. But is that what I really want a human body doing when it's capable of doing so much more? So that's what it is. So eventually people will have to shape up, or else these, I would say, transactional jobs and activities are all going into automation. We saw that with the robotic APIs that used to do this with the clickers and repeat tasks. But now there is also now some better way of say understanding and de-threading problems in a better fashion. So AI is learning in leaps and bounds, but these will be the areas where it'll go. And ultimately, the ones who are able to think and talk about generating value
Hmm.
are the ones who are going to be in the forefront of this next society, which is emerging now.
Absolutely, yeah, indeed. And what design principles create reliable everywhere compensation and ops processes, that can globally scale and yet, leave some room for innovation.
I would go with KISS, keep it simple, Simon. So very, very important. And I think I give this example, and those who know me, I keep giving this example. So if you go to McDonald's worldwide, right, anywhere you go to Hong Kong, you go to India, you go to the US, the quality of the fries which you eat, the taste, the texture remains the same, no matter where you go. And the people that they hire are all, say, folks in school, college pass outs, and so on and so forth. But the technology behind that is so good, and the process that they have designed is so foolproof that they're able to maintain that quality.
Yeah.
Now, and that's the best part of it. What that allows McDonald's to do is innovate on country specific products, which they can do, because now the fries, which is the quintessential McDonald's treat, is taken care of. So now
Yeah.
you can create new flavors. You have time and money to experiment around. And that's the same, I would say, in RevOps or in any team. So the process has to be scalable, has to be super simple. If it is so convoluted that it has to go through 10 steps and I need two experts sitting on it, that's a recipe for disaster, because those two folks who are doing it are my two bottlenecks.
Yeah.
So they cannot move up. And if they leave, my entire process collapses. So it has to be decentralized, very, very scalable, and very simple. And like, say, like my 4 year old, if he picks up his tablet, right, he knows what to do. It's so intuitive. There is a very low chance that he ends up destroying it from a software move. The hardware, he can bang it out.
Yeah.
That's separate. But that's the whole point. So you create something so simple that people can understand, people can come in and go out, because that's how people grow. So if you're in the same spot doing the same thing 3 years from now, then no one's growing out here. So people need to go out. They have the ability to cross pollinate and find your next generation of leaders who are going to take this forward. But all this cannot happen if
Yeah.
you are bogged down doing mundane transactional stuff, or just trying to keep the train moving out here.
I mean, I think we pretty much covered this earlier as well, but over the next 5, 10 years, which part of plan modeling, config, and even payout administration should be completely owned by AI, and which decision do you think must remain with human, with strong governance?
I think most of it should move into AI, and I've been giving this feedback. So look, the AI bandwagon has just started,
Yes.
right? So everybody has started coming into it. The investments are there. The way to monetize it and to create, say, lasting solutions, that's what this phase is all about right now. So essentially, if I take any tool, what I should be able to define is what I want to do in that. So I want to create a plan for 200 reps across these five geographies, and I want that 0 to 100%. I want them to earn 1:1, up to 125%, say 1.5, and so on and so forth. And I want this as my guarantee. I want this as my LOA policies, or here's HR's thing. And I write this up, or I talk to the system, and it interprets it and makes it. There
Yeah.
is no reason why I need someone who has an expertise on that custom script or custom language that that tool uses just to configure it again and again. I want standard reports,
Hmm.
and reports should include how much I'm getting paid out, what is my lead to conversion ratio, etc., etc. All this information lies in there, and we spend a lot of time making, say, a billion reports in Tableau and all these other tools, which ultimately nobody knows what to do. So, look, for a sales guy, right, you have, say, 5 minutes. That's
Hmm.
all you have. And in that, you need to tell where you are, what's happening, and
Correct.
where are you going to go. So unless there is an actionable point that comes out, you are just creating a report in the past. So that's where now I think AI can help,
Mm-hmm.
and RevOps. So in this entire chain of sales, RevOps and incentive comp is like the caboose of the train, the last one,
Yeah.
right? But now you can be on the driver's seat by telling reps and using AI, because you've done all the transactional mundane tasks are out. Now you think, okay, which reps do I need, say, and signal to say you are at 99% or you're going to hit your accelerator. Watch this deal. If you add $500 more to this deal, you unlock a higher payout. Now that is value adding. But if I am stuck trying to get that report out and say, did you read that report? Yeah, maybe. I don't know about that. So this is where I think AI is going to kind of help think this through. And look, here's the other thing. Everybody in life is a sales guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's no one who's not selling. So the rep is selling, right? The finance department is trying to sell the budget out here. HR is trying to sell that this is the best place to work, and HR recruiting guys are selling talent. The CEO is selling the story to the shareholders. So
Okay.
everybody is hustling something, and a sale happens only when you're able to connect the value which is there for the person who wants to buy it. And it's very important for RevOps to show that value to the salesperson as a trusted partner. And once that happens, that's when the rep starts looking forward to these interactions. So it's no longer about my comp is not right, but rather I want to buy a house this year. How do I go about doing that? And these conversations are much richer. And these are human conversations because AI has got your back
Yeah.
and the systems are in place. So now you have value added conversations and go to the next level.
I mean, that was quite rich. And Sunil, like, across, flying across oceans and then having experience over field, are there any specific resources, books, or podcasts that you'd recommend for someone looking to scale their career in this DevOps space?
Um, Look, I read a lot of articles, scientific articles, and management articles, and a lot of news. I think you should watch a lot of National Geographic too. So whatever happens in nature happens in business. So look, there is no one way to success, but I think to keep one's mind open is most important.
Yeah.
The ability to absorb knowledge and to say, I think, when I look at my kids, they keep asking, as kids, we keep asking what, why, how, where. And as we grow as adults, this thing tapers down. I
Yeah.
could blame the education system, the way it works, but this happens. And the moment you stop asking these questions, you are now very insular.
Yeah.
So there's not much that you can grow at. But the moment you start questioning again and say, it's and accept I don't know, but the right way is I want to learn and do it. I think that is the key. So there is no one book or anything. Everyone has their own way to do this, and everyone's measure of success is very personal and very different. So
Absolutely.
as long as you're learning and as long as you have this want or thirst of acquiring knowledge and doing better tomorrow than where you are today, I think that works.
I mean, pretty much, you've summed it up all for all the listeners, to who's looking forward to aspire in the field of RevOps. So, well, that brings us to the end of this insightful session of Go to Masters. Big thanks to Sunil for sharing his experience and valuable insights. Remember, you can tune in every week to learn more from game changers driving hypergrowth companies across the globe. Go to Masters is brought to you by Everstate, your trusted partner for transforming the way businesses handle sales commission. I'm your host, signing off.